And this is my favorite. They're setting realistic and ambitious goals. They're looking at the data and saying that, okay, we're going to be in it for the long haul, but if I go the normal route, I'm only going to get a year's growth at a year's time. And this youngster is never going to become an average reader. So what they're doing is they're setting ambitious goals. And here's how they do that. Suppose I had a third grade student, and they're reading significantly below the mean, which in this case, at the end of the year, is 111 words correct per minute. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I have an assessment that tells me how many words per minute this youngster can read. And what this youngster can read, 25 words a minute. So when I go over here, so the typical third grader is reading 79 words when school first starts. So what I'm going to do to set a realistic and ambitious goal, I look at this 50th percentile and I zip over, and I see that the typical third grade youngster picks up 0.9 words per week as their life as a third grade student. So if I say that this kid is going to pick up 0.9 words per week, and I have 30 weeks of school left, so let's round that up to 1, and I say 30 words, and I add that 30 to his existing 25, I have 55 words at the end of the year as my goal, right? But let's look here. How much is everyone else reading? 111. So I'm still behind. If everyone else is picking up 1, this youngster's not only going to get his teacher's instruction, but they're going to get probably 30 to 45 minutes a day of additional instruction, 5 days a week from me. I'm shooting for 1.5 words. I'm going to half again the amount of growth. So 1.5 words over 30 weeks is going to be 45 words, right? Add that to my 25, that's 70 words. Correct? So I still haven't hit the 111 yet, but I'm getting much closer, because if I had stuck with the 1 word a week, the youngster was never going to become average because they were always going to be below. But by looking at what's the average rate of improvement and then increasing that, I'm able to set a more ambitious goal, but it's also realistic. Do we think that we can move from 25 words a week, and I leave this to you, to 111 words, 25 words a minute to 111 words in 30 weeks of instruction? That would be hard to do. Remember we said this is tier 3, we're going to be in it for the long haul? But so what's happening now is special educators are using this data to set realistic goals. They're not saying they're going to read 80% of or 85% of what other kids are reading. They're looking at the youngster's own performance. They're looking at the real performance of kids, and then coming up with a logical way to increase the goal for this youngster. And then, so what happens if the youngster isn't making the goal? Now we set up that trajectory, right? On one end is going to be 65, and one end is going to be 25. What happens if we're going along and we're in 2 months into the school year, and it's not following that line? What do we do in this model? Yes! We do something different as adults. We don't lower our goal because we set that with some logic in place. We do something different as adults. And what we do is all those things we talked about. We were brainstorming there. What are some things that are different? And we change them until we get to the outcomes that we would like. Now sometimes we surprise ourselves, and even though we look for 1.5, because of this intervention, this kid is picking up 2 words. And we're going to know that by the data, because his growth is going to be much steeper than what was on there. So does that make sense to folks as a way to get around this whole year's growth at a year's time? And it also has some logic to how we figured out, because we're using existing data to do it.